This week it is raining. We don't get rain very often, but when we do, it makes everything a mess, a disgusting mess. We are in Kern County, and when it rains, our ground is hard. It is not drained. So literally trying to catch horses across the street for the farriers today, it's like this deep, trying to sludge across the street. The paddock isn't that deep, but getting across the street is that deep. We need a bridge. So that's been fun. Got everyone some coffee today because it's cold and we're a bunch of crybabies when weather like this hits us, because we're spoiled being in Bakersfield and it's always nice. And outside of really the rain, which we need, it's just been normal. We didn't need, really, there's no emergencies this week so far. Cross our fingers that we go through the holiday week fine. Just navigating the water that we need, but we hate, but we love. One of the things that we try to do whenever we have weather like this that comes up to prevent horses from colicking, which is basically a stomach ache, is we give them extra electrolytes in their food. We try to make sure all the pens have the hanging salt blocks, which is also something that's on my docket to do today. And really it's just trying to encourage them to drink water. They are sedentary when the weather strikes up like this and they don't want to drink water, and that's a bad thing because then the tummy hurts. Preventative would be electrolytes, 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 electrolytes.
Hi, I'm Walker Reynolds. I'm the farrier out here at All Seated, and today we are working on a rainy Tuesday, but it's been pretty nice because we got a big covered barn to work in. With the rain though, it makes it fun. We have to bring all the horses in and try to get all the mud off their feet. Luckily the feet are a little softer, so that's good for me. Worse for your horse though, so you kind of got to watch out, make sure that their feet aren't packing up with mud, which can make them sore, which doesn't happen as much when it's dry. And then the other thing is we have a couple horses that we're going to do some glue on today, and that's going to be difficult because we just have to really keep the feet dry and make sure that we get good adhesions.
So these are the electrolytes that we add in. We do it daily, but it's just really important to do this, especially for the ones on special diets, to make sure that they get the salt in their system so that it encourages them to want to drink water, because God forbid they don't drink water, then their stomachs will hurt. And that's where you run into problems with colic and everything else. So something we need really bad, this is our last bucket of electrolytes. We need this desperately. This is what our horses get. It helps us prevent colic, and it's just a really good supplement that they should be on. If you would like to help us at our California location, we need electrolytes in a really bad way, and I would love you forever, especially during these times. MSM is an amazing supplement for horses. It's really good for their joints, and it's something that we like to give our horses, especially the older horses. And like, I take a supplement similar to what we give the horses, and it helps my knees. And so it's just really important to me that we try to get them as comfortable as we can and make up for all the neglect that they may or may not have had until they've reached us. So this is Red Cell. This is another supplement. It's really good for iron. Again, really good for horses that are gaining weight. It's good for horses that are older. It's good for hard keepers. Basically anyone that gets a bucket gets this if they need it. I'm a huge fan. Like, I've found that the horses, when they're coming in and they've been physically compromised, this helps them put the weight on a lot faster than if you didn't put this into their diet.
Okay, so today it's kind of nasty and rainy here at All Seated in the Barn. So you get the fortunate opportunity to listen to me run my mouth about how to properly saddle a horse and what the parts of a saddle are. Coming to you live from Lawson Training Education here at All Seated in a Barn. So we're going to use today as our example horse, we're going to use Jerry. Jerry's pending adoption. When we work on a horse, typically your horse, the side we mount from is called the on side. The other side of the horse is called the off side. And people oftentimes wonder, Brian, when I'm working with my horse, everything seems good until I go to get on the other side of the horse. Typically the reason for that is because of all the energy and activity we have on this side of the horse, the part of the brain that guides this side of the horse is more desensitized than the other side. Don't go nowhere, Jerry. Well, because you have sometimes a little bit of a mind of your own, I'm gonna keep you on my arm. We do all of our energy, all of our activity on the on side of the horse, which is where we get on. Strange enough, the off side is not the side where you get off. So a lot of people have trouble throwing their saddle up. So the easy thing is to use a little bit of gravity and momentum and just throw it up and place it on his back. I'm gonna ask Tiffany to come and help me real quick. She'll hold him while we go over the parts of the saddle and kind of what each part of the saddle does. People ask me, Brian, when you put a saddle on, what's the first thing that goes first? What do we do first? Well, after you get the saddle pad on and you get the saddle sitting on the horse, you have to have everything secure, okay? So what is the one item on the saddle that ensures everything is tight? And it's the seat belt, okay? The seat belt on your horse is the front cinch. People say, Brian, well, I was taught to go left to right, meaning breast collar, front cinch, and then back cinch. To me, that's a recipe for disaster, because sometimes, so for hypothetical purposes here, let's say I put this on and then my horse decides he wants to shimmy and shake a little bit. Typically your saddle pad's gonna fall off when they do that a lot of times. And if all I have is my breast collar on, this saddle is now hanging off the horse down here in front of him. That's gonna cause a train wreck. I don't like to teach people to put the breast collar on first. First thing we do is we put the seat belt on, the front cinch. Another thing I get from lesser experienced riders is they say, Brian, every time I put my saddle on, my horse wants to buck. Sometimes that's because you're putting the belt on, the seat belt, the front cinch, on too tight too soon. All we want right now is we want that just where you can fit your hand in there where it's snug, and then we're gonna go ahead and lock it down. That way, if he does shake now, the seat belt is on and the saddle will not fall off. And then we're just gonna set this up here in our Latigo keeper. I don't care what you do next. Put your breast collar on or put your back cinch on first. It doesn't matter to me, or rather second. It doesn't matter to me in which order now, as long as the front cinch is the first thing that goes on. As we put the back cinch on, again, I don't want it to be too tight too soon. So we want it just kind of snug right up against his belly, but not pressing into his skin to where he's uncomfortable. And if there's a little bit of gap in there, that's okay for now as well. As you put the saddle on him, as he just simply stands here, he's going to begin to suck up a little bit. And I'll show you that here momentarily. You can already see he's already got more room in here just from standing here with the cinch on him, okay? Let's go over some of the parts of the saddle now. This right here is called the breast collar. Number one, let's talk about how we properly fit a breast collar. And number two, what it's for. A breast collar is, you want it hang, right here's what I kind of call this the star, or the middle of the breast collar. We want it to sit right in the middle of the horse's chest. I've got this one, my holes need to be adjusted to fit this horse, but I want them sitting not tight, but just right here, kind of fit your hand in there loosely on the horse's shoulders. So that's the proper fit. Oftentimes I get asked, Brian, what's a breast collar for? To me, my thoughts on that is it's a couple of reasons. There's a practical reason and then there's a pretty reason. The practical reason is use the breast collar so when you're pulling something, your horse is working and you're going forward, you're dragging something behind you, this keeps the saddle from sliding backwards. That's the purpose of a breast collar. The second part of it is because they're pretty. If you watch all the barrel racers and a lot of younger girls, they typically have the breast collars, but it's all the frilly bling, bling, bling on it because it looks flashy. So it looks good on your horse. Whether you have the bling or you have plain cowboy leather, it looks good. Some people are also going to tell you the breast collar is to keep the front cinch from sliding back. Yes, perhaps, and no. There's a lot of people that don't ride with a breast collar. Some people don't ride with a back cinch. They simply ride with the front cinch. Depending on what you're doing, it can keep the cinch from sliding back, it keeps the saddle from sliding back. It's used for work, but it can also be used for decorative and flashiness on your horse. Back here, we have the back cinch. This here is the back cinch. On the back cinch, it has a purpose as well, twofold. The first practical reason is to keep your saddle from tipping forward. So if I have my horse and I'm working a cow, or I have a cow out in front of me and I'm going backwards, I'm in a rodeo event and I'm catching the back feet of a cow and the cow stops and my saddle wants to pop forward, the back cinch will keep this saddle down on my horse's back, which will keep the horse from becoming sore on his withers if the saddle keeps rolling up. That's going to cause bad problems for your horse and perhaps bad problems for you. The second reason you have a back cinch is, again, it looks good on your horse. In my personal opinion, when I work with horses and I train horses, I don't consider the horse broke if he can't carry a back cinch. Some people train their horses without a back cinch and that's fine. But my perspective on that is if you can't ride a saddle with all the tools on it that you're going to need, then in my opinion, they're not a broke horse. Let's talk about some of the other things on a horse. These are your stirrups. This is called a fender. This is called your cantle. This is called the swell. This is called the seat. So let's talk about the seat of the saddle. People ask me all the time, I'm like 5'7", I'm 175 pounds, something like that. And people ask me, they say, Brian, what size of saddle do you ride? You ride a 16-inch saddle? And I said, no, that'd be good enough for me and Tiffany could fit in a 16-inch saddle. That's a big old seat, right? 16 inches. You measure your saddle from the back of the cantle here to the back of the swell. That will determine the number of inches for your saddle. I ride a 14.5-inch saddle, and I still have enough room for one finger between the swell and my thigh. I sit in there tight. I also ride a rough out saddle. Has a little more friction to your legs and in your seat, keeps you almost like kind of Velcroed in there versus riding something that's completely tooled out or smooth leather. That's just my personal preference. But back to the seat here, if you're my size or if you're my wife's size, my wife rides a 14 1/4. I ride a 14 1/2, 14 3/4. This is the seat, this is the measurement here. This here is the measurement of the skirt. This is a Travis Kading saddle. I want to believe this skirt is 30 inches because this is a 32 or a 34-inch pad. So this is like 30 inches for the 15-inch seat. These here are your strings on a saddle. On my saddle, I have the strings. Oftentimes, they're going to be strings that are going to hang down here, and they're used so you can tie ropes, additional ropes if you're out working in the pasture or on the ranch. You lose one rope because the cow runs away, that's fine. You got 2 or 3 more you can tie on your horse. You can also tie bed rolls on the back. If I'm out riding and I get warm, I can take my handy dandy vest off, jacket off, lay it back here, tie it on the back of the horse, and then keep on going. We don't need to go over that, but this is a horn. This is an American style saddle. Australian saddles do not typically carry a horn. So over here, you have basically the same setup. This right here is called your offside billet, just a style of saddle that I have. This is an offside billet. Sometimes the saddles will have latigos on both sides of the saddle. So this is your offside billet, which connects to your cinch. This right here is also another keeper. So when you take the cinch and the back cinch off, you can lace them together and buckle them right here and they'll hang. I typically do not let my back and front cinch hang from here because over time, the wood screws or the nails that are in the tree of the horse here will wiggle loose. So I just take them simply and I fold them together and I lay them right over my seat. Sorry about that, Jerry. We've talked about the parts of the saddle up here. One thing that I wanted to go back and be sure I spoke of is everyone that listens to country music from the 90s, you've heard the old songs talk about spurs and latigos from Garth Brooks, right? Well, this is your latigo. This is what he's talking about in that song. This is your latigo. This is what holds your seatbelt in place. And depending on how thick barreled your horse is, long your latigo is, sometimes you may need to run this through a couple of times to get it where your latigo is not hanging way down here by his knees, okay? You look kind of like a goofball if you did that. So right there's about right. If my latigo is hanging down just past his shoulder muscles, then I'm okay with that. If my latigo is hanging down as such, I would do this. I would loop it back through again, and that looks even cleaner. Another thing that I do is everything on my saddle, I try to tuck in, okay? I don't want other stuff outside banging around on my saddle. If you notice on my latigo, I come over and in. Some people will ride like this. I'm not telling you it's wrong, it's just not the way I do it. I don't want this out here flopping around when I'm riding. Some people will also not use their keeper and they'll actually butterfly tie this around here. Nothing wrong with that either, just not my preference. When you look at the breast collar, you'll typically have some leftover leather here, but versus it hanging out there, there's a small chance something catches it, but I just like it clean against my horse. Now it's tucked away as best we can, and I don't lose any leather by cutting it short because I ride horses of all different sizes. Although I did run the latigo through a third time to shorten up the excess, you can see now he's a lot tighter in here, but if you look at his eyes, he's not uncomfortable. You know, he's not uncomfortable at all. I can make him uncomfortable if I was to take this and pull it out here a little bit more, and that's how you can help develop a cinchy horse. And then you have to send the horse to a trainer, someone like me, and they'll fix that for $39.95.
So after it rained yesterday, we had to cover shavings. I was telling the guys, all right guys, this is your only chance. I'm gonna help you guys. I'm adding shavings in their pens just to help good footing and good comfort for their feet. Each pen gets like 10 shavings. So it's a lot. So that's why I look like a mess, but it's worth it. They're all laying down and nice and relaxed. There's a horse named Miranda. She is covered with a blanket on. There are gonna be 2 options. One, they're getting bites from their different bugs around. We covered her with a blanket on because her face was so swollen. She was covered with hives. Right now she's doing good. She's no hives, which is great. We do start putting blankets on the older horses or skinny horses because they're just coming into this winter weather. We're just trying to help them so they could get a winter coat.
Hi everybody, it's Nick here, all sitting in the barn. So as you guys can tell, it's pretty soupy out here, pretty mushy. There's pros and cons. Really only one pro. Pro is less poop that we got to pick up. The cons, less riding. Horses start to sit in their stall, start to get agitated, and you got to do what you can in this type of weather. Digging out the pens is not fun. Walking around with a wheelbarrow is not fun. Whenever you're stuck in the mud, you step everywhere you're going, your socks are getting wet. It's only going to get worse. It just started. We'll get through it. We always do. It'll be all right.
Today is Wednesday, so we ran out our alpha hay pay. So we get a full squeeze out, so the guys manage where to be placed. So we have that going on today. So, you know, they're doing what they can with it. With the hay, we don't know how long it lasts. It just depends how much horses do they eat. Sometimes it will last 5 months, sometimes it will last like, I would say 5 to 6 months. We get a full load of squeeze of alpha hay.
So now let's go over how we untack our horse, because similar to tacking up, there's a proper method to untacking. When we talked about tacking up our horse, remember we talked about the seat belt, right? The seat belt is the #1 priority when you put your saddle on. It keeps everything in place while everything else can go secondary. Let's do that all in reverse. We're gonna untack now. The first thing to go on is the front cinch, and the last thing to come off is the front cinch. Think about this. People tell me I was told to take this one off first. Okay, well, I'd beg to say that that was dangerous. If I was to take this front cinch off, let's just look at it real quick. I know this horse and he ain't gonna do nothing. Okay, if I take this front cinch off and this horse decides he wants to shake, this saddle will fall up underneath him on either side. Now my saddle is hanging underneath him, and it's hanging there because I didn't take this off and I didn't take this off. These two things are not for permanent fixation on the horse. These are not your safety belts. These are your working tools with your saddle. This front cinch is the key to it all. First thing to go on and the last thing to go off. My methodology taking the saddle off is breast collar or the back cinch first. I really don't care. I lay my breast collar on my saddle seat, just like that. If the horse was to shake, I still have my seatbelt on. We're safe. We're keeping the horse from going through a train wreck. I'm ready to finish unsaddling. If the horse was to shake right now, everything is off the horse. He would shake, this would come loose, the horse would run away, the saddle would be on the ground, but the horse is not trapped in a train wreck with the saddle being caught underneath them. And then as I said earlier, I take these and fold them together. Some people will buckle them right here as such. I do not, because I don't want the screws and the nails to come loose. I simply lay them together, put them over my horse, and that's how to saddle 101.
So I was motor testing. This is Maple. I gave her Dorm gel within like, I think 15 minutes. So I thought she would be having her head down so she's ready to go. But normally right now she's awake right now a little bit. I might have to give her a little bit more of Dorm gel just to help her relax, because I will have to scrub her and use my nails with the gloves and scrape my nails in her skin, which is good. It's not infected, it's healing, the process of healing it. But that's my plan with her. So I was motor testing and a lot going on today.
Hey everyone, so I'm really excited to show you something new in our shop that helps to support our rescues here at All Seated in a Barn. We have our 3rd edition coloring book, and this one is a little bit different because we actually have some of our people that are part of our team involved in this coloring book. It's $15 and 100% of the proceeds go to helping to support our rescues. It's for kids and adult. Anyone can use this, anyone can color it, and then you can rip them out, put them on your refrigerator. You can put them on your wall, or you could just keep it. But I hope you love the turnout of this one as much as I do.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Home for the Holidays, where we are trying to get our rescues home just in time for the holidays so that they could get spoiled by their new families. Today, I have Phantom here, who is our 18-year-old quarter horse, who just loves being dressed up as Santa. We've walked the whole property. The horses, donkeys, and giraffes are all so excited to see him. Phantom is looking for his forever home. He is an 18-year-old quarter horse who is best used as a therapy program. He is so great on the ground, he's gentle with kids, and he helps us all teach and learn. I've been working with Phantom for 2.5 months, and I have so deeply connected with this horse. He comes to me as soon as he hears my voice. He'll wait for me at the gate. We go in our round pen and we do our job, and he always loves to roll after his session. I love working with Phantom, and I know Phantom will make the perfect home for someone that's looking for a therapy horse. It would make me so happy if Phantom found his family for the holidays. If you're looking for a horse that could help teach your children or yourself some things about horses and horse communication, then Phantom is the perfect horse for you. And if you're interested, please contact All Seated in a Barn to set up an adoption appointment. Let's get Phantom home for the holidays. Phantom is good with beginners and with intermediate riders who have horse experience, and also he gets along with horses, donkeys, foals, and baby donkeys as well. In fact, he loves them. So if you're looking for a partner for you, your family, or your horses, Phantom is the horse for you.
Just $10 a day goes towards helping us buy feed for our animals on a large scale. The bigger in bulk we can buy, the cheaper that becomes, which means it's more bang for your buck to do more to help our animals. That's why $10 is so important. $20 is so important. It might seem like something so small, but the impact is real. The impact is big, and it lets us do more, help more, save more, but most importantly, feed more of these horses who are deserving only the best nutrition that we can possibly give them. The best way to support us is always through donations, whether that be product that we need or monetary. And you can do that by joining our Patreon, going to the website, or visiting any of our social media platforms for links on the best ways to help us.